Vail Fucci here, your go-to gear gal for all things photography. I had a friend who had done this beautiful headshot of this lovely lady, but in the end, afterwards, while she loved the expression in that, they realized afterwards that, oh, there was a bit of hair on the neck there. And so they wanted to know what would be the best way to address this. So there are a couple different ways you can do this. So I'm going to show you right now just different ways I would handle this type of situation. So the first one I'm going to show you is when you have really balanced lighting like you do here, you can oftentimes then reflect if you have a clean side of the neck on the other side over. So I'm going to show you that first here. So I'm just going to copy this general area of her face here and the area of her shirt there. Copy it, paste it. All right. Then I'm going to go and click one of the edges of this here, and then you'll see this part of width on that up at the top. I can hit a negative right in front of it, or a minus sign, and then it just reflects it to the other side. I hit enter. Okay. And then I'm going to decrease the opacity on this, and I'm going to zoom in so I look to see that I'm getting this in a very close proximity to where this should be with it otherwise. Okay, looking for the line of, if we were reflecting this over that same part of the eye and the face there. Okay, that's looking pretty similar to it there. Bring that line down a bit. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit return. Now I can bring the opacity back up on there. Okay, now I'm going to make a mask on it, and I'm going to invert the mask. I hit Command I. And now I can paint in back the part of her neck that we want to have in there. And showing with that here. And obviously, we still want to have some of this hair edge going on here, because it would look really strange if she had all that going on and then we made it that exact same type of line going over here behind her. If you really wanted to, you could do that so that, you know, it made it look like hair was going back behind her on both sides, but we like having the hair that's in the front here. So let's do that. Blend this in nicely. Now you could try to just go and copy exactly the neckline from the other one, if you wanted to, and moving it so that it just fits exactly just right there. And go to our transform and warp tool. And then I can move these little bits so that they line up just right here for me. That looks good. And I hit enter just to have that work. Okay. But obviously, like I said, if we just did that part of going over with this, it's not going to look right, because where the hair is going there. So how do we do that? Well, there's a couple different ways. Now that we have the neckline being clean, what I can do, and also let me just get that little bit of hair clean in here. And around that spot. There we go. Is we can go and use some elements of hair that we're going to like with it that are darkening here, that has a nice natural edge. What I may do is now actually copy from here of that original edge, and I think I'll probably do that, because then it has it over with skin tone and that looking more natural. Okay, so I'll use this. I'm going to copy that, put back in that, paste that, switch this to darken, and we're going to come up and use these little natural strands that we had here, so that we're going to make that look much more realistic, of filling in with real hair in a second of that edge. I'm going to bring this over right invert that and only paint in where we want it, that little edge of it coming in. Okay, so we can see that little piece that we're moving here, because we don't want it to look with that fake kind of edge there. Okay, so I like that one. I'll use it again. I'll just move that same piece up and around in different areas here. Take a look. That's there. Again, I'll warp that. Do another. And then I can merge those three into one. Merge layers to just darken like we had. Make another of that so that then I can copy and move those around here. Create some more stuff in there just so it looks real. Not exact copy, then I just kind of warp that bit. That's feeling good, good. Now that I have that there, I may have enough hair to use for that edge that it's going to look convincing that when I fill this, it's going to look okay. So I'm just going to copy the hair and the texture that's over here to it. Now I'll take my little copy of this. Copy it, paste it, edit, and transform, and warp. And so now I can kind of move it in and around to however I want with that there. Okay, and it says it. So this time copy it. And then I'm going to mask that so that that edge, change my opacity down just a little. So we blend that in just a bit better. Seeing where I had that nice edge of the real hair there from before. Okay, that's getting a lot more convincing. Take that bit off of there. See where it was to where it wasn't. Okay, move that little bit in there. Now we have from there to there, and then I might want to fill in just a little bit more here, because I think that hairline will look more convincing that way. So okay, amp let off. This move to the more. Actually, you can hear it. Just about down. And mask away the edges of that so that it doesn't look really strange. That blend. Is it there? See, there to there. Do that. And if we want to mimic that texture over top of it just a little, which I probably will. Do my little flatten. Grab some of that lovely kind of swooping texture there. Copy it, paste it, bring that down in and around the neck area here. So that doesn't look like an exact copy. I'm going to warp it just a bit. There we go. Then I make sure to make those edges smoother. It just blends in just that little bit better. A little bit. And I think that looks far more natural there. There we go. So that's it for the neck. And then for the other flyaways here, one trick I've found that's really great, that gives a much more natural edge, I just flattened everything because I was happy with it, is make my duplicate layer. Go and filter, liquefy. And then I'm going to look and see where this edge is. I know you can't see it from my end, but I'm actually putting my finger exactly where the edge of the hairline actually comes, to show you just with an icon here. Boom, I'm putting my finger right at this area. I'm making my thing nice and big so I can see that I want to bring those bits of hair into about where it was before. Gonna come down, do the same thing here of that edge, but still leaving just a little bit of that there. We'll see why in a second. Up, in, because people wouldn't have no flyaways at all. That would look really weird and gives it almost like the appearance like they're wearing a helmet instead of hair on their head. Okay, and then the last one. Okay. Now it'll look really strange, but that's okay. I'm going to make a mask, invert my selection. Get that, pick it to be X to be white at 100%. And now I'm just going to go in and paint along those edges. You'll see that the color is staying good with it there. If I get too close to it, just go back to black and redo that a little here. But you can see it's keeping the edge still looking like real hair. It doesn't just look like an odd edge that it has no flyaways. We still have a couple. The ones that are big long like this we'll get afterwards. But overall, it's a much more believable hairline, but still cleans up the really kind of out of control flyaways. Here. Right. Oopsies. A little too far. There we go. Just to that edge. Right. Now that edge looks much better. And then when I'm happy with that, for those long ones, can come in, if you so choose, spot healing. You can do it that way. You can do a patch tool, any which way that strikes your fancy for those ones that are the big long outliers. All right, and for hair like this, where we've got these little bits here, I'm going to first go and plop this onto lighten for my cloning. Lighten when I copy like that. It won't do any more adding of darkness to it. Okay, once I have that kind of sufficiently done, go with my patch tool. Hey, it's right here. Stop, bitch. And that takes care of it.